Hello and welcome to the second special episode of the HaloEra podcast, the Spoilercast technically, as we once again talk about our thoughts, our reactions, what we liked, what we didn't, but the latest episode of Halo the series' episode, season 2 right now. Joining us, for those who watched last week, it wouldn't be a HaloEra podcast if I didn't mess the intro up a little bit. Joining us are the same four from last week and also another member. Amanda, how's it going? Perfect. Glad to have you. 100%. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves or are we good? Can we just dive right in? Right? That's yeah. I mean, we have my usual co-host Nick the Birdman and oh yeah, you're right. Dang, Jesse's here twice. And then we have guest members from the main XboxEra podcast, Sikamikanico, or Jon and Jesse. Okay, let's... Yeah, that makes sense. You got a clone running the entire time. Please let me know if there's any issue with the audio or anything like that as we go through this, such as background music playing the entire time, which may or may not have happened once. Oh, you know what? I don't think they can hear you guys. Give me a second. I knew it. I knew there was something. Do we have jokes? Give me 1 second. There. Okay. Now they should be able to hear you guys.
Oh.
Okay.
Our miming is done.
All good. Okay. We're all set. For the 6 of you watching, don't worry. We're all good now. We're going to dive right into it. I'll let Amanda introduce herself one more time because so they can actually hear you.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and Jesse's partner, and I was here for season 1, but I missed the first podcast last week. But I'm here this week, and here's Jesse too.
Yeah, we've got Jesse
twice.
Okay, all right. Now the jokes are repeated. Let's move right in. So
the jokes are repeated.
This week we're gonna do things a little differently. Last time around we went through the entire episode, like the way the episode did. Kwanha, Chief, blah blah blah. This time we're gonna focus more on the storylines first, wrap it up, then move on to the next one. I'm assuming you guys want to do Kwanha's storyline first. It's shorter. It's not as interesting.
Yeah, that's what my thought was.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Everything should be working. Yeah. Okay.
I'll just say this: it's not as interesting, but she's not the bad part of it. She's actually the good part of it, which is the huge difference from season 1, where it's like, this is dumb. What's going on? What are they going to do? Oh shit! Okay, it's resolved. Is like my shorthand for that. It's like, oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. 100%.
Thank you, Quan.
100%.
I mean,
that they never really properly built that up, and they've tried to make the rubble look very scary, but it never really does. So you don't get that sense of fear you're supposed to have about this shitty pirate outpost that's enslaving people that you have to really start digging deep to survive in when you're stuck there on your own and everyone wants to kill you. So
I do think
there are story reasons if they're not earned yet.
There was a line in this episode which I think kind of basically it's like, hey, we're not going to show you, we're just going to tell you, which is when it's later on in this thing, we'll get to it, but it's when she's talking about Madrigal and people leaving and 4 ships left, only 1 made it out. I feel like that experience, like her entire planet literally just, being destroyed essentially, changed her attitude, which is what
they
I
got glassed.
To be fair, be able to just show it obviously, but I'm okay with just telling too for now.
I don't know, like you've seen her. Yeah, okay. Let's say she's given up on hope and all of that, and she's become very jaded and a murderous, crazy person. But she's also developed like some serious skills, like with the whole knife tapping and murking everyone.
Well, her family was a protector family of Madrigal, so she was raised to be a protector and a warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we only ever got to see her be a whiny little baby.
I guess that's
so it
that's the disconnect, isn't it?
Mhm.
But what happened with the boy? Like, so she got him onto the ship.
Okay,
and
wait,
she's
one
just left
second.
him?
Let's go through. Let's go through the story really while we get there. I'll go through it quick. Okay. So Rubble starts off with Lyra, whose name I had to look up because honestly I didn't remember.
baby voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lara is going around the rubble, I don't know, doing her stuff. She meets Kwan Ha, who is in her like, you're in danger, come with me if you want to live mode, right?
Well, they meet by punching each other in the face a bunch.
Yeah, it's gotta be
Yeah.
some kind of fight. Oh, sorry, Amanda. For if you don't know, basically I'll read out what her line is. You want to interrupt? Instantly interrupt. Don't worry about it.
Alright.
I already talked too much.
I have no problem interrupting.
Awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She basically tells Lara that Soren's crew was bought off. That no, it's not the current. It's not like. Basically, she said someone who wants to rule the rubble is the problem. Is a danger. You got to be careful, right? I think Ruby
Yeah,
was the
one,
name.
one of those other big parties or whatever that we've probably seen in like episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Soren's crew is mad shady. Tells her to meet them at his ship and that it's good to go. And everyone here is being so suspicious. There's no way any
Like
of you guys
scuffed
trust
Gina Carano being the most obvious bad person ever.
Yeah.
Not the kid. Yeah, the kid too. Okay, all right.
Hey,
It was
it's me
very-
and Towers.
very-
You can trust me. I love your son.
It was very tropey and stuff, and
Yeah.
kind of how they did it. I was like, how? Okay, it's a little bit
And you think
heavy-handed.
from like being marauders or something that they would be a little bit more suave
Yeah.
Yeah.
about tricking people.
Not good enough actors to pull it off, I don't think, is the
Also,
main
not
problem.
enough time associated with the arc, right? It's kind of just like, hey, move
Yeah.
along. Let's get it out of the way.
I think they were trying to get off the rubble.
Yeah.
The rubble had kind of run its course, and they got all the main characters off of there now. All, as we'll find out, all heading to the same place.
Yep.
Essentially, that's why I was saying like episodes 1 and 2 serve to very quickly set up resolutions you see in 3 and 4. Where you're like, what is this rubble storyline even going to be? Oh, okay. They just completely leave the rubble. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone leaves the rubble. I was like, yes. I was like, good. Thank you.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
decision because it seems like nobody wants to be there.
Yeah.
It sort of reminds me of something from like Borderlands or like in
Yeah.
Overwatch, the Australia area where it's just like I feel like
Junkerland.
there's just going to be like a fight to the death at any moment.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But not actually scary one like they want. Just more like
Yeah.
a West Side Story fight. Like they're going to start dancing and singing and
Yeah,
twirling.
it's like a gladiator thing. Soren's like, I oversee this, and are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah,
no,
it was
This place isn't scary.
it
it's
was
just
like a
festival.
carnival, the fight scene.
Okay, so Kwanha tells her, hey, listen, we gotta go, blah, blah, blah. And they leave a little earlier to try and sneak onto a transport ship that I think is leaving the rubble. During this moment, Kwanha opens up a little bit and talks about how, like, she feels obviously super guilty. She failed her people. 4 ships left Madrigal. Only 1 made it out. I'm a protector of Madrigal. I filled my duty, right? And my family protected Madrigal for generations. More generations than we can count are her exact words, I think. So it's kind of setting...
she can only count to 3. It's not
Yeah.
that impressive. But they were using the people going on the transport ship as cover as they walked
Yes,
towards
yes.
Soren's ship. And then
And then basically they get onto Soren's ship. They try leaving, and man, I have to say these visuals have been really good. Like
Yeah.
when you see the entire like port essentially of the rubble. Again, heavy Mass Effect vibes. Sorry, not Mass Effect. Sorry, heavy Dead Space vibes is what I was getting from a lot of these shots.
mhm.
I was getting the Expanse,
Yeah,
like those kind of.
no, for sure.
You
they
said the
tried-
Expanse. John's ears perked up like,
Expanse is a good show,
Sorry.
but I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like Halo's actually managed to, like the TV show has
Mm.
managed to retain quite a distinct look for itself, despite all the other things that it could be. You know, this looks like this because you go space sci-fi, it kind of all has a very
Yeah.
tropey generic look.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah, they're-
Halo's
they're-
doing an all right job of
they're doing
differentiating.
one of the nice things is they've definitely tried to make it realistic Halo video game aesthetic. Like the things that work when you pull them over, they pull over and they use and they weather them and they make them look like you would expect in a live action version of that game thing. It's just it's not everything because it wouldn't all. Some of it's just very clearly we liked Aliens and Starship Troopers.
It's hard to
and
make
we
it
pulled
look
stuff.
different. It's like, how can you make being out in space look different?
Yeah.
Unless you want it, like I said, if you want it to look like a carnival or something, it's like, what can you really do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a bunch of metal in space, or you're on an asteroid in space, and it's like, I felt like in the first season when they're walking through the neighborhoods, it was like it did have a different kind of feel, like a bazaar type of feel.
I mean, it helps
like
that Madrigal
Or bazaar
isn't the typical Pacific Northwest alien planet we've seen for decades on television. You know what I mean? But yeah. So they try to escape. They don't escape. Lyra.
They subverted the trope. I was like, are they going to let them escape? And it's just the same thing over and over again. I'm like, are they actually not going to make it?
Yeah.
If she had
Everybody always
hit
makes
the
it.
gas right from the start, she would have made it too.
Right.
Yep, that's what
I think it
first
takes a
thought
while
was
to
too.
start up like a train.
I was thinking for a
to get
second she might
going.
like do the whole Star Wars thing and shoot the shield, but I guess that doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you want everybody
Not
to
if it's
die.
properly thick.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that looks pretty thick for a shield. Okay. They try to escape. They don't make it. Lara basically it distracts them by making herself taken captive, and basically says, "Hey, get what's
Timmy.
Yeah, let's just say Timmy.
Kessler.
Kessler. There we go. Okay, that is
Timmy.
not a kid's name. What the? Okay. Anyways, get Kessler onto the transport ship, and then she fights a little bit with these guys. Obviously gets taken captive, and this was kind of interesting to me because they did allude towards this plot point, but didn't really give it enough time. Which is that they all think they're hiding a ton of treasure from Madrigal. Is why the crew betrayed Soren in the first
that
place.
sort of came out. I was like, oh, what was that again?
Yeah.
They mentioned it early in the season where someone's like, it was just a box of nothing. And it was like, because that was all that was there.
They had an argument, didn't they? And Soren was like, I did all the work. Why would I share it? There wasn't anything in it anyway.
Yeah.
That was effectively it.
I do feel that's probably...
And they don't believe him.
I mean, the show's not going to talk about it, but that's just Soren being prideful, right? Like, he should have just shown, hey, this is what I got. This is everything. You want some of it? Feel free. Like, whatever, I guess, right? But, whatever. Leader, pride, Spartan, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's trying to think. He thinks he's king shit.
Plot
And they don't
device.
actually.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, a large part of me thought that they were gonna shoot the new captain. I don't remember her name, but the woman who's holding the gun looks super threatening and like even lifted it up towards him for a little bit. I'm like, oh, are we gonna see like an internal coup or something?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot her name, but I have this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, no worries. So they're interrogating her. She's like, yeah, there's no treasure. Then she says something pretty stupid, which everyone in this position seems obliged to say, which is, even if there was, I'd never tell you. Lady, what? Just
Yeah, you have a gun to
I think
your
it was
head,
supposed.
like
You're
just
supposed to be assuming that she knows she's gonna die
Yeah,
no
fair
matter
enough.
what type of thing. But yeah.
yeah.
Oh, her name is Talia.
Talia. Okay.
The aggressive one who
Bad
just
memories.
looks like she just
Scuffed
wants to murder
Gina Carano.
everybody.
Anyways, so this is exactly what I have written here. Kwan leaves her kid to escape on a transport and goes all Rambo on Soren's crew, killing all of them, which is essentially what happens next. She distracts them with
Just
knife.
tapping her knife on a
tapping a
railing,
knife.
getting him to walk over.
I thought the scene was done decently well, but what did you guys think of this overall in this entire sequence?
I thought it was okay. I mean,
Their acting just wasn't good enough. They was very. It felt like community theater from the lesser people. Like the writing was very there on the nose. You knew exactly where it was going to go. The surprise was that Kwan was on the ship, and then especially when she killed Scuff Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was pretty rough. Like everyone else is just kind of off camera. Gina Carano, she just right up the
Like,
friggin' throat.
right up
It's
it,
like,
I'm
right
oh,
not
off
sure about
the
the
chin.
logistics of that one though. I was kind of like they were just sitting on the railway, and then she just turned around. Snap.
she started tapping. Talia comes in, is like, oh shit, and then surprised her, stopped her. You can see her like hold her gun down and then
Yeah. Okay. All right.
right in the throat. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Other
pretty
than-
smart how she kind of drew them out like one by one by annoying everybody. Like, what is that? Banging
That's
sound.
Kwan annoying you to
Yeah.
death. That's her specialty.
the
But now
surprise
in a
for
better
me-
way.
was the kid not being on the ship. I was like, oh, they're gonna just put the kid on the ship and was hiding in like a vent
I
or
thought
something.
that too. Yeah.
That when they said, oh, he's just on the transport, I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're just sending him off.
Now we don't have to worry about this child actor's tight
They didn't even give him
schedule
a
getting
Pokemon
scenes
seed,
done.
man, before they started his journey. It's just, hey, here, go.
It also seemed, wasn't that kind of like I don't want to say like a slave ship, but wasn't it sort of like an indentured ship?
Certitude ship? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're just selling people as indentured servants. So they're like,
Well,
well, have fun, Kessler.
The necklace bought his way onto the ship to get off. Instead of selling instead of selling
So
themselves, they had the necklace to
Okay.
sell. Yeah.
I did
Oh, that's
not catch
okay.
that at all.
Yeah. Basically, the indentured servitude.
I forgot about it immediately after she gave it to them.
Yeah, the indentured servitude stuff. It seemed more like people were kind of selling themselves into a service for like a contract or whatever.
Yeah.
That way they can survive
Yeah.
on there.
John, sorry,
to
so I
get
cut you
off,
from the
get
beginning
off.
of the show about Kwan Ha, and her going all like Rambo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say? Do you remember?
Well, I just found it a little bit like, I think there's a cynical part of me that's like, okay, everyone in season 1 were like, oh, she's so whiny and miserable, and they're like, how can we fix this? Why don't we make her a crazy assassin superhero? And then that's what they've done. And I mean, look, let's see where it goes, but it does have some payoffs in terms of. And is this course correcting? We can imagine in our weird fan fiction universe that it is, because yes, it removes the rubble now from the storyline effectively. Maybe the kid can. Is there going to be a B plot of let's get my son back? I don't know, but maybe the plot is more let's go find Soren with Kwan and Talia, whatever her name is, flying off on the ship.
Lara.
Yeah.
So.
And you can say it is course correction. Because Pablo Schreiber literally just talked about how much they were course correcting in his press tour. Like he was just all about that. He's like, yep, I didn't like the sex scenes. Didn't like kind of that type of stuff. I didn't like the romance felt forced. It was too quick. Like he was very much in there. We're fixing a lot of the issues we ran into.
That's good. It's positive to hear.
And I can believe the Kwan change up because, I mean, if you think about it, psychologically, she's lost everything. And she's gone through a lot. She's having PTSD, so it really is not that far-fetched to her being mentally unstable.
Yeah, and she kind of reflecting a lot of that is because she's all like sitting there sullenly staring off into space, right?
Writing drawings of the flood of Gravemind, most likely.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Like when you stop and think about it, it makes sense. I do think the show, and I think the show knows this too, it didn't give enough time to show that transition, right? It's just like, hey, a bunch of crap happened to her off screen. She's now like hardened, and her life sucks, and she's guilty. Blah blah blah. Deal with it. And I think
a lot of bad stuff happened in season 1 too. It just they kept writing her to be whiny about it instead of reflective or sullen.
Well, like as a character at the end of season 1, she was pretty happy, right? She found her place with her people, her protectors, blah blah blah. She found her job, her role, and then kind of off screen, all that fell apart. I get why they did it off screen, and I think it is the better decision rather than focusing on a character that people weren't really big fans of. It does make sense to kind of just like fast forward through it.
And plus, I think a lot of that stuff was brought to the forefront because of the way they had to change their shooting, and they had those sets, and they could reuse them a lot.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
that's not really a part of the story anymore. It takes away from the storyline to focus on, a B story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of Kwan.
Okay, that is Kwan Ha's arc for this one. At the end of it, they seem to be heading towards Reach. They didn't explicitly say, but it was pretty heavily implied, I think.
They knew he's there.
Yeah.
Antares told her that he was on a transport ship to Reach, or prison ship to Reach, and also, what's Kwan's body count? It was 6 so far?
4 plus
2 slavers and at least 4 people on the ship? Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
She's not that far behind Chief.
Yeah.
She's definitely above him in terms of humans. Including all the games, every single one.
No, not if you're playing with Dan and he just team kills you nonstop for your ammo.
True. That's true. Or if you're playing with me and you kill enough Marines that they all turn on you. Actually, who hasn't?
I've never killed a single Marine when I'm playing on
100%
purpose.
shot keys in the head. Everyone shot keys in the head. The moment
Not-
he gives you that pistol, you get some ammo, you go right back and boom.
Nope.
John,
I
did do
you've
that
done
once.
for
Is
sure.
it
I'll
just
admit
me?
I had to do that one.
Okay.
John, you've 100% done that.
That's pretty.
100%.
You shot Keys.
Shot Keys in the head right when you get the pistol in Halo.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Several times.
Yeah.
A little worried there for a second.
You hear that
See how long-
accent, you
see
just
how
know
long
the
you
answer is
can
yes.
Survive. What do you mean,
all
like I shot someone for real in the head, and I'm like, we don't have guns over here. Like,
I've heard the
Not a
knives are
thing.
What are guns
dangerous.
again?
Okay, moving on. So now this is Chief's part of the episode, which I personally thought was obviously a lot better than Kwanha's. In general, pretty good. So the episode opens up with Silver Team checking out the relay where Chief thinks Cobalt went to. They hear some ominous stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then they are surprised by UNSC protocol, FleetCom technically, that are saying, hey, you went AWOL, well, not AWOL, but you went, not approved, blah, blah, blah. You stole a Condor. We got to bring you back. Chief's like, F that. I got to go through this door. Goes through the door. No one's there. And it's kind of like, what's happening?
I hated
Yeah.
this plot line.
I did
hated
too.
All of it. All of it was so just like it was like let me write this to create conflict.
Mhm.
Like
It's
It depends how you
It
feel
is-
with Oni, I feel, is how you feel.
yeah,
with this
it's
novel.
343's thing of them. One of the main bad guys in Halo is Oni. Like Oni sucks. They are truly horrible. And like just we'll get through all of the why, but like it's very obvious they knew everything already,
yeah.
but they're choosing who's
They
gonna
need-
be worthy of
Right.
them.
They need to make
Yeah.
him look like he's going off the
Yeah.
rocker, so they're
Yeah.
like setting him up to make him.
Because their thing right now is he knows like the thing he had Cortana run the simulations on in the previous episode. Can they possibly stop the Covenant at Reach? And she's like, no, there's nothing you can do. So at that moment, Ackerson's thinking is 100%. We're going to take everyone we can. These
No,
Spartans
not
will
everyone
not
we can.
leave this
Everyone
fight.
we want to. Right?
Well, I was gonna say everyone we can. That's worth it. That will actually come.
That he
And like
considers
as we find, like if
Yeah.
if the Spartans were okay with running, he'd 1,000,000% take them. But he knows they won't do it
think he
if
cares
they know
much
there's a
about
fight coming.
the twos. Well, to be fair, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, no,
during-
but he would use them. They would be useful. He would keep them because they're useful. But anyone who doesn't want to go because they want to stay and fight, he's like, I cut you off completely.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man,
I-
that plot was.
I want to talk about the why, but I guess I can't until we talk about.
Well,
let's
yeah,
just
we'll
quickly get
get
there
it.
because it's not too much. Perez during this
Yeah.
time is decoding a signal that she heard, or some recording that she heard during that process. Ackerson meets.
It was the stuff that was on Sanctuary. There was
Yes,
something
exactly.
underneath the
Yeah.
interference.
Ackerson meets his father, which I thought was a nice touch to this character, kind of humanize him a little bit.
Yeah, that's the whole.
Besides
reason.
being like, see you later.
Yeah,
that's
for
the
like
whole
3
reason they,
minutes.
yeah, they.
Oh, also, I've
added
been
in-
creating clones of our daughter. And,
Yeah, that
you
part
know,
is
like,
sister, but yeah, that part is definitely weird. But
Well,
yeah, sorry.
the clones of the sister were there for Halsey,
Yes.
for him thinking he was driving her nuts. When it's more like, yeah, no, I know who that is.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
bother me.
Yeah, I remember.
I
pretty
like-
clearly.
They have been humanizing Halsey more than she was in season 1. You see her actually know and remember and
Mm.
care in ways that she just did not in season 1. She was stone
Yeah.
cold.
I
sour.
did think this
She
scene
was, yeah.
helped. In like only like 3-4 minutes, it helped establish that Ackerson is from Reach. His family's from Reach. They've been here for a while. They've literally built things up. In that sense.
yeah, they built the bridge.
Yeah, like I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty literal, but still, it does the job, right, in that aspect. And it comes to a head, obviously, later in a scene with Ackerson and Keys, which we'll get to. Nick, I know you were saying something. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, yeah, it's like as soon as they were doing this scene, I was like, oh man, they definitely just put this stuff in to well, obviously to build that he's not just a cold-hearted monster. They're like, oh, we want people to like feel for him. You
I
know?
mean, in the Nyland
No,
trilogy,
he is a cold-hearted monster.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
Yes.
but I was like, they wanted to try to add more of the human like nature to him,
which
and
is
stuff.
good.
I mean, like
right?
he's literally killing his dad because he's not useful.
No, I thought it was more like if I take you with me, people will know right away something's up. I thought that was my immediate connection. Like if you're leaving the planet and
That's
you're taking people close with you, other people will be like, "Yo, what the hell's going on here? Why is he running with his dad?" That was my immediate
Yeah.
connection for why.
Well, and he has a conversation with about how sometimes you just need to let go to Kai later, and it's pretty much he's just like, yeah, I can't just drag my dementia-ridden father with me when we're desperately trying to escape. Yeah, it's giving depth to someone who isn't a good person, but you just see they're not heartless. They are just able to. They're pragmatic enough to be an evil bastard when the situation calls for it in their mind.
If any of you guys have seen Wheel of Time season 2, very, very similar scene in that episode, in that show as this. In terms of,
yep.
Yeah, you watch it. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I watched up to that. So I haven't seen the full season, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But okay. Moving on really quick. It's interesting that I mean, this is a sci-fi discussion, but like you have diseases that are today that are clearly not been properly cured, even though it's been 500 years. You know what I mean? That's always kind of like.
Yeah, that was honestly one of my thoughts too. I was like, I get, they just kind of basically the dad's there as a Mulligan like story plot point, just to build upon character. But I'm like, I would think that they would have had the dementia stuff, especially
they've cured regular Earth dementia. They haven't cured space dementia.
That's true.
Is it dementia?
Yeah, I mean that it's giving you this is relevant. This is like dementia, so that we all understand what it is, right? But yeah, you're right. We can clone a human brain, but we can't. We're already like
those clones do all that
now. Yeah, and I mean, it's just a sci-fi trope, right? I mean, it's,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you have cancer.
It could be space chlamydia. We don't
but
know
also,
what would be
it's
making
just
like that.
it's an aspect of aging. I mean, you can't stop aging. So
yeah, that's true.
It's not it's not dementia as a disease. It's just a part of
getting
older.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just have to serve the story.
And I think that's.
But also, we can't say everything that's happening is just this is just here's a plot point. This is just here's a plot. And it's like it's a story. So we don't have to be like this is just a plot point. It's like but also it's the story.
I guess stories do have plot points no matter what.
Yeah, I'm a bit more cynical. I think it is. There's a purpose for it. I just think it's probably been a little heavy-handed, and because so much of that happened in a single episode, and I think that's the thing. There are massive transformations within a single 50-minute sequence. We've seen a massive transformation in Quan and her capability and her, her view on the world. We've seen this massive exposition dump of Ackerson and who he is and why he's doing the things he's doing. But it all happens in such a short space of time that as a viewer, I was like, okay.
We did see Quan kill 2 guys last week.
I know. Maybe she had a little
chopping one of their arms off.
I'd argue Ackerson was done pretty well, pretty effectively. For the limited time they had, they're like, hey, here's a scene with his father showing he's from Reach, and here's this pretty interesting argument scene with Keyes where you realize, hey, he's not like stone cold. He has like doubts too, but he's doing what he thinks is best for mankind. Actually, we'll get to that scene, but I really want to talk about that. We'll get to that scene.
That's still part of Ackerson. That's still, we're talking about
season
Ackerson.
1?
Ackerson? No, he was not in season 1.
No. Oh, okay, because I was like, it's like, here's Ackerson.
Yeah.
He's who they put in charge after they.
Yeah, I got that, but I was like, he just came in fast and hard.
But he also had good scene. He had a really good scene with Halsey, I thought, too, as well.
Fully agreed.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Moving on really quick. Silver Team is obviously being yelled at by Admiral Keyes, which is interesting. I feel this might have been the first episode they mentioned that. I'm not sure. Maybe if I could read military science, I'd be able to catch it earlier. But Keyes in the show is not Captain Keyes anymore, as he was in the first season. He's now Admiral Keyes.
Well, I was thinking, because the whole line with Keyes, right, between the confrontation with Ackerson and, I loved it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I was like, that's the Keyes that I would expect to kind of do this. But this is, I guess, is all culminating into why doesn't someone just speak up? And there's future plot point prediction. I wonder if because of his actions of saying that to Ackerson, he'll end up being demoted back down to captain.
True. Yeah,
it popped into my brain when he did that. I was like, I wonder if he's.
We're talking about it. Let's just talk about it. Later on in the episode, Keyes, after yelling at Chief and saying, "Chief, you're crazy. The Cobalt team's going here. Haha, you crazy. Go take Psych Revol." It just cuts later on in the episode to Cobalt team dead, and Keyes looking over the bodies. And then him and Ackerson have a confrontation. Where to quickly summarize it, Keys is like, "How long did you know?" Blah blah blah. And Ackerson's like, "We knew." And Keys is like, "We gotta tell everybody." He's like, "You think your higher ups don't know, right? Like they're here. It's over. It's done. We've lost." And Keys is like, "No, we have to fight. We have to evacuate. There's millions of people." Said the words, "Winter contingency."
It's such a slap in the face to think an admiral doesn't know what's going on behind the curtains.
Yeah.
To him, like, okay, well, what's even my point here?
100%.
Yeah. And with like, and Keys brought up, the evacuation stuff like that. Like that, I hope that they explain it more, like later on. But my same thought was too, is like, if you know that they're here and that they're coming and that it's like Ackerson made the excuse that, there'd be, chaos in the streets and stuff. It's like, well, yeah, but you can still at least try to, get
like give
people
them a
off the
chance.
planet. Yeah, I was like, try to save as many people as you can.
It's two different viewpoints, right? One is Ackerson's more pragmatic, like we need to focus on the targets we think, or rather I think, are worth the most value, right? While Keys is like, screw this, let's fight, let's get as many people out as we can. Like that's our jobs. We're Marines.
Or Keys can be like, all right, you guys assholes go, get out of here, and then the rest of us can just do what we can. Like, why don't you guys just go?
I suspect. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I suspect that the whole plot point. That's the delay between America and the UK, right there.
It's not that bad, honestly.
The whole thing of right. So my assumption is, reading between the lines here, is that O&I, Ackerson have made their calculations unwinnable. So rather than alert the Covenant that we know that they're around, we're gonna sacrifice the whole planet to make a place somewhere else. That's my guess. Like that will come out later on. Like
essentially said that. We're like, we already started, right? Like we're already moving people off.
Yeah, they already. It was as specific people, as many as they could get, is how I took it, quietly, without giving anything up to get out. Because obviously, we see the moment that the Covenant know you're there, the ship that none of the main important people are on gets blown up in the background.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
do you feel like Halsey is because I mean, Ackerson just like shoved Soren in there before they're like, all right, we're getting the fuck out of here. So they're like trapped in the simulation. So I'm wondering, like, is Halsey gonna like figure out what's happening, and then
he gave her enough. As in,
Soren and them are gonna have to work together to get out. Like, because it's funny how Ackerson is just like, here you guys go now, peace out.
I think he was hoping Soren would just kill her.
Yeah, I think that's the thought Ackerson has, is that Soren would be like, I've been looking for you, Halsey, dead. And that's
but I thought it was funny that he's like, one last thing to do before we're getting out of here is here you go.
Present.
Yeah.
Going back to the Keys Ackerson confrontation a little bit, I did like how it showed that even Ackerson was emotional. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't stone cold. He's like, this is what we have to do no matter what. We haven't won. The moment they find a planet, we flip and lose every single time, right? Like what would you have us do? Just lose everyone for no reason?
Yeah. I guess then that's kind of where the buildup of the whole his dad storyline kind of starts to play.
He's
in
like,
there,
I'm from Reach. He's like, so am I. And then that's when I made the connection. I'm like, oh yeah, they did talk about his dad building a bridge, and clearly he did grow up. Right.
Peeing on his uncle.
Yeah.
So does this also mean that Julia was part of the Spartan program?
Yes, which we will get to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
I assumed that, but also I was like, but the family knows, because wasn't Halsey kidnapping people and replacing with clones, but Ackerson and the dad knew. So I was like, how is this all fitting together?
I think some were volunteers, and then they also were kidnapping and stealing when it wasn't a situation where you have like this military family. Yeah.
The impression
I also don't know who the dad is. How important was he? Part of the government? Was he part of Oni, or who was he that he would volunteer a kid or something like that?
The impression I
maybe
got
that'll
was
come out later.
They literally just did the same thing, even with Ackerson's sister. Took her at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Left a flash clone. Flash clone died, and he probably figured out later, oh, what the hell is this?
That's what my thought is too. Yeah, that's.
And Ackerson just figured it out later, or
Well, he would have seen. When he took over Halsey's project, that's when he would have learned everything and really hated her and found her and put her in prison.
Yep.
which then adds even more to that whole he's sending his sister in there.
Yeah, that
So
I
that's
still don't
more
get. I mean,
that.
like I know you're crazy.
He
and all, but what the fuck?
he's just trying to get to her to see if she even notices, if she even recognizes her. Like that's like, does she care? She's such a heartless bitch. Like, is she?
And I imagine
Does she even give a
doesn't
shit?
care about Flash clones at all, right? His sister's dead. He knows.
No.
It doesn't matter. This is just Flash, right? Like.
Mhm.
Yeah, like that's not actually my sister.
Yeah, exactly. Like dissociate. Okay, really quick. So he orders a full psych eval for Chief, and then one of the funniest scenes in the episode, for sure, in my opinion, is when Chief walks into the elevator. Hey guys, I'm sorry, and just yeets them across.
Yeah.
And the guys literally look like children. He's like,
Yeah. I mean,
they're like up to here.
that's why I'm glad that they actually got actors
Yes.
that were actually tall. That that was
Yeah.
a deliberate thing.
Even when
which
they're
is-
not in
I think it's
armor,
like
you
really
need
cool.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
like how Matt. He's just like, really.
Yeah, it was pure
And you can
gold.
always put him in the Tom Cruise boots, so he's even taller when you can't see his feet and you don't notice.
The cruise boots,
Anyways,
or the
he
DeSantis
does-
boots.
he does this because he wants to meet up with Admiral Pronsky.
Paranovsky.
Aronofsky, who was given something, blah blah blah. During this time, Riz meets up with her old Spartan friend, and I kind of got the impression that like she was interested in their relationship, because as a Spartan too, obviously she didn't have that, right, at all.
Yeah.
She literally asked him like, "What else is there for me to?" She's just, "I fight. That's what I do. What else could I be?" And she's like, "Oh, I could just live a nice life. That is an option, essentially." Because she is so hurt too.
Nick, yeah, what you saying?
Oh, I was saying like she could like retire and stuff, but I like how they're kind of I wouldn't have expected them to show her more like looking at like the home life. I would have expected I'm gonna get, because that was Riz, the other one, Kai.
Oh,
Kai,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Kai.
Yeah.
I would have expected them to show that more with Kai. So it's kind of cool that they're showing it with Riz,
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I would have expected to see that side.
I feel like they're doing a
Yeah,
better
probably
job.
who arguably needs that the most
Exactly.
Yes.
moment
Yes.
is to be humanized and to see some humanization.
They're
Yeah.
doing a-
Yeah. No, I was happy with the decision and stuff that they went with it.
They're doing a
Yeah.
better
with
job
her.
of like expanding how the Spartans show the emotions. In the first season, it was just Chief going through all of them, and this is like, hey, we have multiple Spartans. They all have the pellets out. Let's utilize them. I like that aspect.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on. So Kai meets Ackerson, and this is clearly setting up future plot points. But essentially, the meeting was just, hey, like I know Silver Team's out. Put me back in. I'm good. You need us, right? And Chief will come back when he's all fixed up and ready. And he's like, will he be? Is he? He knocked out these two guys, and then he did the Halo 4 line, right? Where he's like, he's broken. And immediately I'm thinking, do you believe Master Chief succeeded? Because he was at his core broken. But great line though.
Surrender that AI.
Oh,
Oh god. Halo 4 flashbacks.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Which actually, I want to talk. I'm going to talk about it right now. So the Chief in the show, right? He's younger, I feel, than Chief in the games, even from the very first one.
Mhm.
He's not as. It's kind of weird. There's a mix of respect and authority given to him, but it's not as high as it is in the games, I want to say.
Yeah.
He hasn't saved the world 3 times over, right? Which I'm guessing helps. In like
Yeah.
Halo 4, by Halo 4, you're like, nah, screw you. I'm doing what I want to do. Like,
That's probably why it looks so old. That's a lot of stress,
yeah, exactly. And there was a scene in the beginning that I wasn't the biggest fan of, which is when his team essentially said, nah, Chief, like, you do what you do. You got us in trouble. We're out. You know what I
Well,
mean?
he
Yeah.
lied to them.
Yeah, he did.
He straight up lied to them, and they're just and they are all 6-month-olds as far as having emotions go.
That's true.
But also, Pablo Schreiber is 45, and Master Chief was I think 49 in Halo CE, so they're pretty close. But it's less career decorated, I guess, in some ways, maybe at the most. But even then, Halo CE was just like in the Reach book, he did stuff, but in their canon, he was. Who knows? Because of Bungie being weird,
Yeah.
but yeah. For the most part, they just it really feels like they are all getting used to feeling things again. Like they couldn't handle feeling pain, disappointment, anger. Like normally it was just, okay, you say something, you tell me what to do, I go and I do it, and I don't think otherwise. And now they're thinking for themselves, and it is not a
And to be fair,
I imagine
kind of shady.
yeah,
right?
learning to do that. Yeah. Well, he just straight up lied. He told them, yes, this is a combat mission. Kai was literally holding her gun in the face of a superior. Like,
Yeah, he's putting
They
their
believed him.
careers on the line too.
Yeah,
The others on the team.
I kind of wish that they, because then again, you know, making the comparisons to what we know in the main canon and stuff is that, like, you know, the unbreakable bond that they have, the team has, and so it's like when he lied to him and stuff, I was like, I don't know. It's like I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I feel like
they are.
I feel like he wouldn't lie. I feel like if he were to have been truthful, they like
I mean, remember
probably
in
wouldn't
the
have
show,
done
Hashtag not my chief,
Well,
right?
it's not
Yeah.
just not your chief, it's not your blue team. Remember in the show in the first season, they literally tried killing the guy, episode 7? Like, this isn't the same unbreakable bond we have in the game, in the books or the games.
Yeah.
This is
Plus now some of them don't have their pellets
Exactly,
anymore,
yeah.
so they're evolving in
And they
thought
haven't
and
gotten to work for 6
loyalty,
months.
Lots of loyalty and
that's a big part of it, too.
responsibility and their own personal feelings and their own personal career goals or whatever they might be is now a factor.
I do know what you mean, though. You go in expecting this to be blue team because I mean it really feels like it is blue team. But when like I stop and think about it, I'm like, no, they're not blue team yet, right? Like this might be those moments where it's like, hey, why'd you friggin' doubt me? We got Covenant raining from the skies, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't doubt me again in the future. I'm just saying. They're like, yeah, Chief, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's the moments that build the bonds. I can see that. Yeah. I guess
We need to
that
see
would
the
make
things
it
form that we
Yeah.
had gotten used to in the books and the games and stuff.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because probably if they all got along, then everybody'd be like, well, there's the platform. Everybody's getting along and is all happy. Undying till the end.
Like most of the times they were forming those bonds in the books, they were like teenagers.
Yeah, they're forming it now.
That's true.
And
No one wants to watch
now
that.
they're going to have to work together
Even if they
while
did,
all
they
of
have
this
pellets back then.
destruction happens and they're saving people. So now they're going to rebond again.
I think, you know, I guess we're at the end of the episode now, right?
Essentially,
So
pretty close, yeah.
we get the scene in the church. So Perez, who's trying to translate the signal, she gives us a running narrative over what the Sankili language is actually saying. And it's basically like a prayer for the planet as an offering and all of the lives on it, blah, 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 going to be cleansed. I was a bit disappointed they didn't use your destruction is the will of the gods and we are their instrument line. That would have been a nice nod to the canon, but whatever. Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong here. Big explosion, right? Chief covers Perez. Is Reach about to fall like starting now in episode 4?
I'm just saying.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
the episode 4 is called Reach, John.
It's begun.
No.
Oh no. That was the cliffhanger.
Yes. There's a reason Ackerson was leaving on a ship during that. It's because he was getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, 100%. Probably with Kai.
It makes sense that like right after the prayer,
I'd
it
imagine
starts.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting where basically it's like a lot of what Chief is even doing is he's clearly too late, right? Admiral leadership already knows. Oni already flipping knows. He's trying. Speaking of, he goes to meet Admiral Pronsky.
Yep.
Paranovsky.
Yeah.
And basically realizes that she's still working with Oni, and I guess was just keeping Chief busy or was giving an excuse.
Yeah, it was just if he's going to try and go somewhere, she was pretty much just going to be there to try and stop him from doing what he had been doing, and that's why she was pissed when she saw him. She's like, "You weren't supposed to make a scene. Why? Because Oni doesn't want you making a scene." But I didn't tell you that part.
She said sorry, Nick.
No, I was just agreeing.
No, so she said something, and this is I think a prevalent theme throughout this episode because Keys also says it earlier, where he's like, "Your job isn't to think. You're a soldier. You follow orders." And she says the exact same thing to him here. You're a soldier. Do as a soldier does. Follow orders, which is a big departure from how we see Spartans in the games and the books. Because in the games, when they're on the field, they're like the main folks. Like we make the field commands. While in the show, even from season 1, they're machines that only follow orders, right? Is how Oni and the Marines and whatnot have been treating them. So it's interesting seeing that kind of be brought forth again, because I feel like it's going to be a big plot point with Chief, where he's like, you know, he's going to do Chief stuff, save the date eventually, blah, blah, blah. Like, screw you all. I understood this. I'm not just a soldier, right? Like we can do what we do. We're Spartans. You guys get that? Like that kind of like focus?
Yeah, and I think it might go back to some of the building up they might be doing with the Spartans and stuff, because like the war has been going on for a little while now, but maybe the Spartans haven't had as much time in the spotlight, so to speak.
They're mostly just been propaganda for lately.
Yeah, so they don't have as much of the lore around it. Like we get some of it with like people recognizing Chief and stuff, but I think that because there hasn't been a lot of like him, the hero stories about him, I think people are like, you're a soldier, like, do as you're saying, or do as you're told.
Master Chief is just a guy in a suit, and they only saw him as a Spartan. Like they didn't even know. No one knows who John 117 is.
Game canon, I'd argue, Oni would do the same thing in that sense. Like they consider him disposable, like whatever. Like we'll do what we need to do. We'll get rid of whatever we need to.
Yeah, he's like Steve Rogers right now.
Yeah.
Like pre-Captain America.
Another scene too.
Yeah.
One of the guys he punched in the elevator was Hitler, just like Steve Rogers.
Thank God for that.
But yeah, that seems like a prevalent plot point. And then as we go on, we get the scene with Halsey and Ackerson. And this was kind of interesting because you asked why he brought Soren in at the end, right? And it kind of felt to me like, ugh, fine, damn it, you got me, you beat me in that argument. Here's my next card. I'm just playing it and dipping. All right, you deal with this now.
Yeah.
But essentially, this conversation is Ackerson.
Hacker Man.
Hacker Man.
Ackerson
Levi.
essentially saying, listen, your Spartan 2s, they're cool, they're awesome. Yeah, they're just a small step. The next step's coming, right? Built on top of this, and that's really going to change the future. It was a pretty cool line, I thought, and really obviously emphasizes his future stuff coming.
The Spartan 3s.
Yeah, the Spartan 3s, essentially. And then Halsey flips it on him by being a friggin' monster. Like, holy crap. Where she essentially says, yeah, I remember your sister. Yeah, I told her those exact same words as she lay dying, 14 years of age.
His Ackerson's grin as well, like smiling at her, like, and then he turns. Do you think they're actually going to bring Spartan 3s into it?
Yeah, we already see them.
Eventually, yeah.
And one of the episodes is called Onyx. Just saying.
Oh. One little nod I liked, and maybe I'm just imagining it, but the use of the name Julia, naming the character Julia. Obviously, we had a Spartan Julia in the canon that was really injured and was put into a stasis pod after Halo.
Interesting.
If memory serves.
And also, I did ruin one thing in the first episode. We did that she also saw Makee, and when I remembered that, it's because she says it in the church, and I was like, oh shit, nope, never mind me.
I'm not gonna lie, Pablo's acting in that specific scene was really well done, I thought, because you could kind of tell, like, it's that relief, like, oh, I'm not insane. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was starting to.
Yeah.
And John just hears Makee and immediately is like, God fucking damn it.
I don't want to.
I
don't want to talk about Makee.
When the trailer happened and we heard the same voiceover at the end of this episode, I've become death, people reach, blah blah blah. I was kind of worried it was Makee again doing it. I'm really happy it wasn't. That it was just Perez translating a Sangheili general saying it. That was a good change, or not a good change. That was a good moment for me. Speaking of, we're essentially at the end then. Soren shows up here, and Halsey genuinely looks scared because she knows this person's out to get her for years, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Orcs.
Like, ew.
Do not watch the season trailer they've put out. Super spoiler heavy.
I already know a lot of things, so that didn't fully surprise me.
Yeah.
And then he kills his father, but it did seem like there was an agreement already made between the two.
Because he had remembered. It was like the thing we had talked about is happening, and he was like, and his dad just said, "Don't let them take me alive."
Yeah.
And then the next time he saw him, he's like, "It's time," and he's like, "Thank God," because he's
like, "Oh, and I got
like
one more
life.
Julia in the fridge, so To have a
Yeah.
nice
Probably
tender
most
moment at
one.
the
use
end.
of Julia and so far in the show, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Her
not,
father,
you
one
know,
last
dying
kind of-
head down on a table.
Yeah. And then of course Chief goes to the church. I actually kind of like this scene, like how uncomfortable he was with the whole concept and everything.
Didn't know what to do with his hands. He was like,
straight up.
Yep. Yeah.
But then we get the obviously Sinkili voiceover. The exact name of the person was Var Gat.
played on a space Zune.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
space.
Yes. And apparently, according to YouTube comments, an AI at the end of a Sankili name means they're a blade master. Or so I read. I'll have to double check it. But there's some interesting nods there. The speech itself was pretty cool. I thought it was a great kind of like, hey, things about to hit the fan. Like, as we end this. What did you guys think of that last?
Yeah, I
scene?
like the way it was presented. You know, like something like that could be like cheesy sometimes, but I felt like it really, I don't know, it felt, I liked it. I liked the way they delivered it.
Yeah.
It had weight to it. Yeah.
I like that it played more into the whole fact that the covenant is a religious,
Yes. Yes.
thing and stuff. That's why I like that they kind of brought into it a bit more that I felt was lacking in season 1.
Really quick, we do have a super chat from AJ Allen. Thank you very much. I thought it was.
I was going to point out, but I felt bad.
in the
Yeah.
cryotube in Halo, and yeah, definitely was. I was also going to point out.
Oh, it was Linda. Am I imagining the name then? I swear there was a Spartan Julia in the books.
I think you are.
I don't think-
Only the show came up.
Yeah.
You're thinking of James, who dies in that same moment. He just floats off into space. Good
No,
one.
I reckon I was thinking of Linda, Julia. Maybe, I don't know. I'm completely wrong. Thank you, AJ, for
Julienda.
being way smarter than me with the whole memory lore.
Sick,
call you a
completely
law nerd.
wrong once again after almost destroying Xbox. Oh my
I
god.
know.
You can
So
always
please,
count on the YouTube comments.
let's save that for tomorrow's show. I'll print out a giant L, you know. Except I
There-
won't. It's enough. It's fine.
It's that meme where it's like,
Wow,
oh,
good.
someone call an ambulance, but not for me.
I totally lost my train of thought. Dang it. Final scene, gravitas.
We were running a train on L's.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it. This giant light in my face
Yep.
doesn't help.
It's funny. You guys were. Chat was like, man, people are nitpicking right now. I was like, yeah. I actually thought this episode was really
really
good
liked this
because the bad part was the Rebel story, and they just fucking killed all the bad people in that. They just got rid of all the shitty theater actors who aren't theater actors. They're probably very good actors, but the lines they were given, the direction they had, made it feel like theater. Whereas most of the other stuff with the show has actually felt prestige, which I don't think season 1 ever really hit. It got close, especially during the big fight in the open fight with the jackals and the war dogs. That felt incredible. But then when they went indoors and had to change everything up, it didn't. And they have consistently hit prestige. And I would say the next episode is phenomenal.
Right, nice.
So you have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I was already expecting it to be pretty good.
I'm excited. To see
It's
it.
probably like half their goddamn budget for the season or something.
Good.
It better
Okay.
be
Good.
because this is the one that decides a lot of stuff.
And we got 2 episodes in a row with like very little to no action, right? Episode 2 only had the training sequence. This episode just had them walking in their suits, and I guess some Kwanaha stuff, but I don't like how that. Which,
Chopped his arm off with a door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Soren got captured,
Yes.
got betrayed.
Overall, though, I thought what they did worked. With Ackerson, I 100%.
Yeah.
The humanization worked for me. The last scene in the church worked for me. The Perez in general is becoming like a pretty decent character. I want to see more of her, which is nice. But I want to see more of a non-Spartan character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
the first season. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
a non-Spartan character with some kind of relationship that isn't Makee.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, the first season was kind of like, what's going on? Like, we got a lot going on here, but this season's a lot more concise, and I feel like it's already a lot better. Like, I like season
yes.
1,
Yeah.
but it there was definitely a lot of head scratching moments, and it was like confusing, and it's kind of like, what's going on here? But this season, I am enjoying a lot more.
They don't. It's
Yeah.
not as disparate in its parts. Everything is there's really like 2 to 3 through lines, but now they're two of them were very close, all taking part on Reach, and now the Rebel stuff is coming to Reach, and we'll see where. We know if we look at the episode titles where it's going, but I just don't feel like it's going to splinter off into three or four
we got
things.
coming together rather than
Yeah.
going out all over the place.
Yeah.
Very streamlined.
Yeah.
And I like the pace, regardless of my qualms over the certain plot elements.
Your
I
qualms
love-
over the Haas.
I love the pace of the show. I don't want them to rush through, the fall of Reach, but I'm very much looking forward to
It's
it.
definitely going into episode 4. Before I watched it, the one thought I had is this is going to be a very different fall of Reach,
Yes, take on it for sure.
because FleetCom and everyone's left. Like all the higher ups they've booked it, so it is going to be very different.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of people there, but it's not going to be like everything Reach
You got
had like in the
Chiefs
game.
Team grounded, none of them in their armor, right? You got
Mhm.
Sword on the planet. You got people leaving.
No helmets on. People are going to be pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest question I have now is the whole plot arc of the Halcyon class Pillar of Autumn, really old ship, was brought back into service because of the unique honeycomb structure of their titanium plate armor, meaning it could withstand a pounding from plasma energy weapons from the Covenant. The whole mission to kidnap a prophet, and that was the original plot, right? But you had the whole story of the Pillar of Autumn escaping Reach with the last Spartan on board, and I'm like, well, that's completely out the window at this point.
Yes.
And I'm like, where is this going to go? And I suppose in some ways that's quite nice.
It is.
Like I have no idea.
They they could have just remade beat for beat the Halo, or they could give you something different, which is smart.
And
I mean,
I think
is
they've-
it completely out the window though?
From
like-
Reach,
I don't think completely. I think the way it's going for them is they are pulling things that work. Like they've talked about some plot points, like you said, winter contingency and some other stuff, and like they've yanked from the story more than I think they did in season 1. They're willing to use the things that work for the story they want to tell. So if that ends up becoming something important and how they end up at a Halo at some point in the show, I think they would definitely try and do it.
if I had to guess,
Because
It would just be different.
yeah, Nico.
I was gonna say I could see with maybe with like Keys refusing to leave and stuff, and then he stays behind, and then you get the obviously the Spartans and stuff are there too. Like maybe there is just a ship in the shipyard that didn't leave, because if it did, it would raise flags of why is that ship leaving, and then so now you have like Keys and everyone there that can hop on that ship and fly out of there.
I don't want to
I mean-
say stuff because I feel like based on the screenshots we've seen, the trailers we've seen, I can kind of piece it all together. But we know there's a space battle, right? We know there's a space battle. In your case, John, it doesn't necessarily have to be Reach, right? It has to be a ship escaping from the Covenant and barely making it to a Halo, which they don't even know exists. It's essentially that's the main plot point. You got to reach. We know there's a space battle. It might not be the next episode. We know one's coming. Maybe we know the title of the last episode. Maybe that's when it happened. You know what I mean? Like I think they'll still keep some of that.
If I was to guess at plot,
Yeah.
you've got everyone converging. They're going to find out Cortana. No, Halsey and Soren will make up.
Mhm.
They'll escape the facility. They'll find out Cortana's there. That Ackerson's left her. They'll take Cortana. So there's their B plot. You'll have the Spartan defense, and you'll have Keys, and that's the main A plot. Eventually, they'll converge, and I think Cortana will be like, "We have a Halcyon class. Blah, 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 blah. It was a secret project for Oni, and then that's the ship they escape on. Maybe, and that's the way they'll bring in the Pillar of Autumn. That's like my gut feel, but we'll see. We'll see.
They'll definitely bring in Magical, I think, because I mean the entire first season Kwanha's story arc was setting up Magical being connected to the Halo, right? It wouldn't surprise me if they completely cut that, but I do think they'll still bring that into play, because otherwise your character's relatively not useful for the major entire plot, the overarching plot, I should say. Really quick, Clickerman in chat mentions he likes the only guy, and I have to fully agree. The actor and the portrayal of Ackerson is done so well in this show so far.
He's getting the juiciest dialogue, and he's taking big bites, and it's he's doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's doing unlike the mercenaries or whoever they were, he's doing a good job at being a bad guy, because it's like you have to walk a fine line between like mwahaha and like
Mustache twirling.
You know, yeah, like they like the mercenaries were, or and it's easy to be a bad guy, and I feel like he's
Baron
being a
Gorman in
good
season
bad
1.
guy.
Yes. I honestly forgot.
You always were an asshole,
Yeah,
Gorman.
but so the one thing I was wondering before I immediately watched episode 4, because I was able to do that, it was really nice.
Straight up.
The thing I was curious about is with the way the story has always gone on Reach and Spartans, and it's pretty much only Chief left, and everyone else is either off to the Four Winds or dead. I'm just curious, like what? Because we know Kai was probably with Ackerson. Riz is with the former guy and his husband. Vanek was at the facility. Chief is at the church. Like everyone was pretty separate. I was like, we knew there was Cobalt team. They're all dead. We don't know about any of the other teams where they are. And I think that's kind of a nice thing where they can just pull a rabbit out of a hat if they want to later on. We know Ackerson has talked about his thing from the books, which was Spartan 3s. He's alluded to them. We'll see if that's exactly what they go with. So I was very curious in how plot armory
I'm not gonna lie.
the Fall of Reach fight would be. And I'll just say it never felt like anything in the next episode was unearned,
Okay.
which if you're worried about that or TV tropey stuff, it was not that for me. So it's I just want your hype to go way up. Like
sorry.
if you're like, I hope this is good, you should just be like, yeah, no, it's really good. It's really fucking good.
Watch the episode, I'm like, episode 4, man. It's gonna be a good one.
And also, where is Admiral Parangoski? Yeah, and
guessing
it's like,
she
how
took
come
off.
she knows more than Keys knows?
It really feels
Maybe
like
They're
she's
both
got the
admirals.
Pillar of Autumn and she's staying behind, and that's then they'll come to. That's it. You've nailed it. That's what's happening.
they promoted Keys, but it was almost like a promotion in name, where it's like, yeah, because you did a bunch of great stuff in the first season, you're an admiral now.
He was a diversity hire.
But it's still like leadership and Oni are still just keeping to themselves. And
Yeah, he was not Oni, so he
Exactly.
didn't get in. Halsey was the Oni side, and he was the military side, and so he gets him as an admiral is still like down here compared to an Oni admiral.
And it wouldn't surprise me if, like, in terms of Spartans on Reach, right? It's the ones that they don't mind losing, which is who? Which is the entire Spartan team that pulled their pellets and are no longer killing machines that you can just give an order to and they'll do what they want them to. Which is, I think,
And Keys who's always sticking his neck out for them.
exactly. Yeah, let's see. Next episode will be telling in a lot of ways.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Really? Wow.
And
I'll
chatting
say
about
these-
it.
Yeah, these episodes too, they have been making me wish they were longer and stuff. It's like I get towards the end of it, I'm just like, I wish it was like a half hour longer. I wish we had like all 90-minute
Let
episodes.
me double check and see exactly how long the next one is if you want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing
Well,
about all
I
the
mentioned-
streaming services now is they're not really holding themselves to a 30-minute
Yes,
or a
yeah.
60-minute format. They can take as long as they want an episode to take, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice, but it's also like I wanted to catch up on Stranger Things, and I looked at the runtime. I'm like 2.5 hours for the last episode. Okay, all right.
This next episode is 10 minutes shorter than the current one, but it makes sense because it's an action versus talking. It feels very different, and it costs a lot more per minute.
Yeah, of course.
Fair.
Of course. Okay, that's essentially the entire episode. Any last thoughts overall with Halo the series, season 2, episode 3, Visegrad? And for those wondering why it was called Visegrad, because I did not catch it the first time, where they go, where they think Cobalt team is Visegrad Reach. That's why. That's why
It's a province on the planet of Reach.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Is it
There you
from
go.
it's from the game? I remember them saying Visegrad and the Visegrad relay. Like that's why it's the Visegrad
Yeah,
relay because
you're
it's in that
right.
region.
Yeah.
They're yanking stuff from the books, from the games. Like they are.
They did a lot.
They're
of,
very happy. Like all the looks.
They did a lot in season 1 as well. Like after every season 1 episode, I'd watch Halo Canon would release a video, and they talk about essentially every little reference and Easter egg, and there's a lot of references. I'm assuming this season's doing with that too. Though I haven't.
They've been doing breakdown episode or like post show
Declassified.
interview things too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, should watch that.
I need to watch all of them. I haven't yet. But sorry, final thoughts.
That would have been
on the
good
episodes?
homework for this episode.
I feel like the homework is watch the episode because we go the very next day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just go in order. Amanda, what did you think of the episode overall?
I really liked it. Yeah, it tied a lot of things together, and I enjoyed it. Thought it was good.
Okay, cool.
I think it went. I liked it and stuff. I wish there was a little bit more action and stuff, but I mean, I know every episode can't be action.
Yeah.
So I did like that there was a lot more story points, and they're kind of like, alluding to stuff and kind of like explaining things and also setting some stuff up so where you can kind of see where things will go. So
we have to have the valley before the peak.
Yeah.
Even budget wise, and I should be just as loud now. Honestly, OBS is showing me the exact same levels, but whatever, it's stupid.
It's YouTube's really weird too, depending on what you watch it on. YouTube likes to normalize and change shit. It's very frustrating.
Okay, Nick, did you just go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, John, what did you think of
Sick.
the episode?
A little bit. Like pacing was great and everything, but I still roll my eyes a bit during this episode for a multitude of reasons. But I still overall vastly prefer it to season 1's outing, and I am like excited to watch it week on week. Like versus, it was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna almost hate watch season 1. Complete change of fortunes for season 2. So carry on going, and looking forward to seeing what the crazy action has in store for us next week.
Okay, Jesse. I mean, you already seen the episode twice now, but what'd you think?
First time I saw it, I was like, I'm very happy that this has taken what I thought were weaker episode, kind of week 1, a little bit better 2, wrapped up the things I didn't like in those in 3 while having good stuff around it, even if the beginning of wrapping it up wasn't as good as just seeing Quan murder everyone that I didn't like watching on screen. And then from that point, it's like, okay, all the people I don't really like watching are dead, murdered by Quan, and now I really like her. So thank you, Quan. Pretty much everything that's left was such a good setup for what I was hoping was a great episode. So it was like, if I was at like a 6.5 for 1, a 7 for 2, an 8 for 3, it was a great setup for the whatever I'm going to give 4 next week.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like this episode started kind of weak. You're right, John. The moment they had like that line where it's like, "Why don't you believe me, guys? Guys, where are you going? Stand down!" I didn't, like that part. I'm like, okay, all right. But then
I thought, my son.
I thought they pulled it together pretty well with the Keys scene, showing that Keys now figured out that Chief isn't hallucinating. And the last scene with Chief in the church, and clearly alluding to the team getting closer again after this, I was okay with it. And overall, I just really enjoyed the last half of this episode a lot. Can't wait for 4. Holy crap.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, those are our thoughts for the episode. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back again this time next week to discuss episode 4, which is called Reach. If you guys have any questions, concerns for us, please let us know. Audio, it looks like we had some audio troubles near the end. It should be good now. But I think
Just in time.
Yeah, I was going to say, just in time for the end of that.
I don't think it was low for the whole episode, because I've been watching OBS the entire time, like the little bars. But whatever, friggin' OBS, I swear. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we will see you again in a week.
Bye.
Bye.